Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nev's Garage. Now if this is your first time joining us here, please hit that subscribe button and also toggle on that little old bell. That way you'll be notified when our next video drops. Don't be too concerned with our next episode right now though, because I've got a shocking episode for you this time. I'm sure by now you've noticed Mount KYB over here. Well, like most enthusiast cars, the Rexy likes to get out and strut its stuff. Well, it's time to give it some new legs. So what we've got here is a full set of KYB struts, strut top mounts, and bump stops and boots. So it's going to be great. What are we waiting for? Let's spring into it. Alright guys, so we're going to do the rear ones first. So we've got chocks under the front wheels. We've got the back jacked up and it's sitting on jack stands. So let's rip the wheels off. Alrighty, so now I'm going to put my camber measuring tool on. Now if you want to find out all about this tool, go and check out a video about it on our Unique Tools channel. Alright, cool, so that's locked off. That's what our camber needs to be on full droop to be the same as what it was, well, now. Okay, so let's take that off. Alright, so now we're going to undo the two knuckle bolts here, or camber bolts, or camber pins, or whatever you want to call them. Alright, so the strut's loose now. Alright, so now the brake hoses. Now, just grab the retaining clip and just pull it out. Like that. Now the brake hose is loose. Okay. Now how do we get it out of here? Well, you've got two choices. You can undo it at the caliper, or the body of course, and have to bleed the brakes later, or we can just do a quick mod to the struts. So I'm going to show you how to do that now, which will make this a really easy job. And once the groove is cut, we just grab it with a pair of multi-grips. Bend it out of the way like that. And flick our brake line out of the way without having to undo it and bleed it. Okay, so remember, this can be rough as because these struts are headed for Subaru strut heaven. So I'll show you what we do about this situation when we put the new ones on to make it a bit tidier. Alright, so got the strut all loose at the bottom now. It's all undone. Just got to go up inside now and undo the top. Alright, so our strut mount lives in here. Now being a wagon, this is super easy to get to. So we just pop this trim off. Like that. And underneath this flap are our nuts. Okay, that's simple. Now I'm going to have to grab the strut as I undo this last one. There it is. Strut's out. Alright, so now what we have to do is compress the spring so we can take the top off without it killing anybody. So I like to use these twin jaw compressors because They're a lot safer. They don't twist around the spring and try and slip off. Very important with stuff like this that you really grease these threads heavily, because once they bind, they will get damaged. So let's wind them all the way out and get some grease on them. So we're going to use a really good grease. Alright, so we need to pick a spot that will get maximum purchase. So I might go in there. And in there. Quickly run him up. That's good. Now I really would like to get 3 coils out of this one, but I may have to do this. Which will still work. Just have to be careful. Alright, here we go. Alright, so that spring's loose now. Okay, so it's safe to remove the top. And we're just going to point this away from everybody while we undo that top, just in case the clamps slip off. Alright, here we go. Top off, nut, perch, what's left of the boot, bump stop. Okay. Now you can see that I've marked a straight line down the strut in line with the knuckle bolts, so we can make sure we put it all back together properly. I'm just going to mark this one top. All right. Now we can undo the spring. Okay, cool. All right, so here's our new stuff. Okay. Just going to give this shaft a good wipe to make sure there's no tide mark where it's been stored. Alright, cool. Now, I've washed all the old parts. Ready? We've got the bottom spring seat, we've got the spring assembly and the top and everything ready to go. Now check this out, this is why I really like KYB stuff. This is the original factory bottom spring insulator. And check this out. Fits perfectly. The KYB struts have holes drilled to suit the factory rubber seat. How cool is that? Alright, so that goes on. Now we put our boot and bumper together. Him down just like that. That's that part done. Alright, now our spring. So we need to compress our spring again. Now, slip him on here. Boom. Line up our white marks. That. Now our new strut top. Bam. And our new nut. Alright, now we need to make sure that this all stays together properly. Spin the spring around, line up all the white marks. The top has to have a bolt pointing towards the white mark, and now we'll start to tighten it up. So we're just going to run this down now, like that. Now we can let the spring compressors off. Pretty good. Now we wrap up the top nut. Now as we tighten this top plate can spin around a little, and I kind of hope it does because it's not in exactly the right spot. Very nice. Now we just zip tie the boot on. Lovely. And there she is. So there's our strut assembly with the new bump stop, the new top, everything ready to go back in. All right. Now, as promised, I'll show you my mod. There it is there. See a little notch we've cut there. So just measure the width of your brake hose. In this case it's 7.9mm because they're braided. And you just run the angle grinder two nice neat little slits. Finish it with the file to deburr it. Bit of matte black on there and it looks original. And you'll see in a minute how much difference it will make when it comes to installation. Alright, so in goes our strut. Now we kind of got to put it up on an angle so that it misses the knuckle. And as we do that, we're going to put a nut on the top. Just keep the ABS wire out of the way. Swing the knuckle out like that. Now we swing this out of the way and in there like that. Beautiful. Now we do the 3 top nuts up. Alright, so the top nuts are on. Now I'll show you how easy it is to put the brake hose in now. Just slip it through the gap. And because this is a braided hose, the little boss floats. So you just pop him where he's meant to be. And because it's wider than the gap, so it can't come out, totally safe. And just push the clip back on it, like so. And then just wriggle the hose so it sits in the right spot, and done. Easy, no bleeding. Okay, now the camber bolts. So just so that that one can still spin, but it's firm. We'll just see what happens when we move this one now. Yep, cool. Alright. So you can see the knuckle moving in and out, and we move the camber adjusting bolt at the top there. Okay, so what we need to do now is put our camber measuring tool on and then set the camber back to where it was. Alright, so it has to come out at the bottom, in at the top. Okay, so see how far out it is? Here's the pointer. We need to bring it in so that it's lined up with the notch where we set it at when we took it off. So if I move the top camber bolt and wind the top of the knuckle in, which will push the bottom of it out, and see it slowly lining up with the notch there. That's it. So now I'm going to lock the camber bolts up. Alright, so I'm going to put a bit more tension on the bottom bolt first. And now the top one. Now we really lock up the bottom one. Here we go. Now we just take our camber tool off, get ready to put our wheel back on. Alright, so a bit of brake cleaner on the disc, make sure it didn't pick up any grease. And then you can give the rest of the area a wipe, any excess grease off the strut and the knuckle backing plate. put a date on here so I know in the future when we replaced them. And we're ready to put the wheel on. Do you want to have a look at the struts first? There they are, sitting up in there really nicely. Looking tidy. Looking all pretty and new. And do you want to have a sneak peek at the other side? I've done it as well. It's obviously the same as this side to do, so I'm not going to show you twice. Anyway, let's pack it up and put the wheels on. Alright guys, well, we're all done. We took the old struts out and we put the new struts in. It's kind of like the hokey pokey, but we didn't shake it all about. So, send them guys off to somewhere else but here. And now, it's time to do the front struts on the old girl. So I think we'll do that next episode, so make sure you tune in. The best way to do that is to hit the subscribe button, as I mentioned before. Toggle on the little bell. That'll remind you all when the next one comes out. Anyway, that's it for this episode. As always, thanks for liking, sharing and subscribing. I'm Nev. This is my garage. Take care of each other in your cars.